Onslaught is Destiny's first true wave survival horde mode, and it brings unique build challenges, especially on its legend difficulty. Not only do you need tools to chew through groups of tough adds, deal with champions, DPS bosses, and survive a non-stop barrage of damage, but you also need to move quickly from objective to objective when Lord Shaxx demands you to do so. Today I have 3 builds, one for each class, that not only accomplishes these challenges, but also allows you to have some fun while doing it. Welcome to Stupid Builds. First, some general strategies applicable to any build you take into Onslaught. In between rounds, you will occasionally be given the opportunity to invest in defenses around your ADU. Your options are trip mines, turrets, and decoys. Of the 3, I highly advise going for the turrets, decoys, then trip mines in that order. Turrets are a free source of DPS bonus to anything you are doing, helping clean up or set up kills for enemies that are approaching your ADU. Decoys slow down oncoming hordes by forcing them to target it first before proceeding to your ADU, and trip mines offer big bursts of damage on enemies that pass through them. But unfortunately, the trip mines only trigger once, then have to be repurchased, and because each round will generally only net you anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 scrap, and with the trip mines costing you 1,500 per pop, the short-lived value of the trip mines I find to only really see value if you're expecting a large wave and you don't have enough for one of the other items. All defenses will also stick around even if your ADU shifts locations, thus allowing turrets with their longer range to still get some great value in when your team is in a different defense point. Hope everything is making sense so far, and if so, excellent. Let's move on to Warlocks. My go-to build for Warlocks is a tried and true champion of high-end PvE players that works excellently in Onslaught's chaotic environments. Well of Radiance is the holdout super, allowing our team to plant our feet and survive everything short of a wipe mechanic. To add the firepower to our build, we will use the Touch of Flame and Heat Rises. Touch of Flame boosts our grenade efficacy, and Heat Rises allows us to consume our grenades for healing and melee kills while airborne. For our fragments, we use the Ember of Ashes, Torches, Singeing, and Searing. Ashes allows us to stack up for ignitions more quickly, helping us with ad control and some synergies for later in the build. Torches not only grant us a consistent way of accessing bonus damage, but also tools for dealing with barrier champions, which is important because all 3 champion types have a chance of spawning in Onslaught. Singeing we are using in tandem with our Phoenix Dive. Phoenix Dive is the fastest source of burst healing available to us, while allowing us to use our Solar Grenade to scorch and ignite targets. In combination with Heat Rises, this also gives us a source of restoration as well. Lastly, Searing is for more frequent access to our melee and grenade energy, but if you find you are already comfortable cycling through abilities on demand without this, then consider Ember of Empyrean or Char, or even something like Mercy if you'd like the little bit of healing. Of course, if we are using flare grenades, it's practically illegal not to use Sunbracers. Sunbracers are an incredibly versatile tool in Onslaught, as with their effect active, we can either use them to nuke a boss or napalm strike an entire wave of enemies single-handedly. This we are fueling with our Incinerator Snap, but for now, let's talk about weapons. Again, we need tools for both AoE champions and DPS, and for me, the fire and forget nature of the Dragon's Breath is the perfect tool for this task. Dragon's Breath will coat an area in flames, mimicking the effects of our Sunbracers, albeit at the cost of heavy, and just like our Sunbracers, we can also fire it at a boss to continuously pump damage into the tankier foes while DPSing it down with our Riptide. Our Riptide roll has a chill clip and auto-loading holster, but the only necessary tool here is chill clip. The stasis slows from chill clip can cause other weapons to deal bonus damage from our seasonal artifact and give us tools to stun unstoppable and overload champions. Auto-loading holster helps us optimize our damage rotation with Dragon's Breath, which we will discuss shortly, but if you can't get auto-loading, a holster mod on your boots works pretty good as well. For our primary, we only need some form of solar weapon with incandescent. Solar weapons are juiced up from the artifact, and incandescent will help us cycle through our abilities from our subclass fragments. I settled on an Aumment, but it was far from optimal, so feel free to pick your favorite. Starting with our class mods, run Reaper for some free orbs after diving, and the Time Dilation mod for longer solar damage surge on your boots. If you're finding you're lacking that little bit of extra DPS from your weapons, double down on your surge mods, or consider using mods like Invigoration and Orbs of Restoration regeneration to fund your melee, as it's key to the source of power of this build. Your chest mods will fluctuate on their resistances, but I advise using at least one Harmonic Reserves mods, as you will need your Dragon's Breath often. For your gauntlet, try a melee kickstart and any other non-weapon based mods, because you likely won't be reloading manually very often, and swap speed isn't that important for this build. Lastly, the helmet is a simple Ashes to Assets, Heavy Ammo Finder, and Harmonic Siphon. Now let's quickly cover some tips on how to optimize your time with this build. When dealing with most waves of enemies, you're looking for as many opportunities as you can to score a solar melee kill to fuel your Sunbracers. Once you've done that, consume a grenade for the Heat Rises healing, floof in the air, and begin to paint the map yellow and orange. This will generally get your melee back to repeat the process again, and give you the ability to Phoenix Dive for a bonus bit of healing if the going gets tough. Don't hesitate to throw down a Dragon's Breath shot if you're in a pinch either. It's an incredibly ammo efficient rocket, so using it for emergency ad clear if your ADU is under heavy fire is an extremely powerful strategy, but just be careful not to burn yourself in the process. When Shaxx calls you to deliver your can of Whoop Bass to the pyramid directly, your DPS rotation is to fire one shot from your Dragon's Breath, quickly slam down a well, fusion rifle 4 to 5 times, fire another rocket, which by this time should have been auto-reloaded from its own exotic perk, and then rinse and repeat with your fusion rifle rocket combo until the boss is a bubbling mound of goo. Be careful to save a few shots of your fusion if you can, to ensure that you have something to shut down champions as you get back into the wave defense, but ammo is frequent enough that if you do need to run your fusion dry on the boss, you likely will be okay. Now, onto Hunters. For Hunters, I have a build that can technically be used on any subclass, but its peak power is when used with Arc. Gathering Storm has the same Fire and Forget flavor as the Dragon's Breath in our last build, but this time our goal is to generate as many orbs to support ourselves and our team as possible while jolting huge groups of adds. Our key fragments are Lethal Current to cause jolt on melees after dodging, and Flow State for increased reload speed, cooldown charge rate, and some damage resistances while amplified. For fragments, use this with Spark of Beacons, Resistance, Shock, and Amplitude. Beacons hands us tools for blinding effects, helpful for stunning unstoppable champions, as well as generally tacking on some bonus AoE damage. Resistance allows us more freedom to be aggressive in big groups of enemies. Shock makes our grenades jolt, which can feed directly into our amplified from our aspects, and Amplitude turns us into an orb generating machine, as with this build, we will be amplified for a healthy 90% of all combats. Our main exotic weapon is a bit of a sleeper pick that I find to be unbelievably fun while still putting up some very respectable damage numbers, the Grand Overture. While yes, simply using Thunderlord is potentially easier and of course more accessible to new players with the Gift of the Thunder Gods, if you have a chance, try the Overture out. Its ability to chunk enemies down and also burst DPS with its rocket volley is extremely enjoyable, I think. But for most combatants, the Indebted Kindness is a practically one-size-fits-all tool to disassemble Onslaught's difficulty, especially if you have Lead from Gold and Volt Shot. Lead from Gold makes this rocket sidearm almost as available as your primary weapon, and Volt Shot is a critical perk that propels this build into one of the most synergistic ad clear builds in the game. Off of one kill from this weapon, our Volt Shot will feed into, of course, our jolts, but also our amplified, blinding explosion, and an unbelievable amount of orbs. These orbs we will take full advantage of with the Star Eater skills. Star Eaters massively improves our super regeneration from orb pickups and juices our super damage after collecting orbs while full. With them, we can cycle our super within seconds of casting it, especially if our team is pulling their own weight with orb generation. Our armor mods are more impactful on this build than with our Warlock. For example, for our class item, we use Reaper and Special Ammo Finisher and Powerful Attraction. We'll be dodging often, and because of how powerful a rocket sidearm is, these mods are a must. For the Star Eaters themselves, it's critical you run this with Better Already and perhaps even Recuperation for free health regeneration off of orbs, and at least one arc damage surge mod. Like last time, your resistances will cycle depending on the activity, but I again am making use of a Harmonic Reserves mod, this time mostly for our rocket sidearms ammo. For gauntlets, use Heavy Handed for more orbs, a Harmonic Reloader mod, and Impact Induction to help feed your grenade. Alternatively, you could consider swapping the last two mods for a grenade kickstart. Lastly, our helmet uses Heavy Ammo Finder Launcher, a heavy ammo scout perk, and a powerful friends mod for even more team support. Your AoE is almost as mindless as you start chaining Volt Shot and Amplify together, but you won't have as immediate of a healing tool as the Warlock. For DPS, try to get your Star Eaters up in Gathering Light stacks. Puncture the boss with the Gathering Storm, then pin the trigger with your Grand Overture, keeping a close eye on your missile charges as they max out at 20. Focus your stats on resilience and recovery, as practically every other stat is taken care of from your build or your mods. This Hunter build is also uniquely equipped to run the Spark if you care about making this part of the sub-objective easier for your team. But now, let's move on to a very funny Titan build. For Titans, I am featuring a fun, albeit far less viable build from Spooky, who submitted this build during our live stream. If you'd like to submit a build just like Spooky, subscribe and join us on Tuesdays and Saturdays here on YouTube, and Sunday on Twitch at about noon Pacific. This build uses the Strand Titan with the Aspects Dregnir's Lash and, of course, Banner of War for reasons that will become more apparent in just a second. For our fragments, we ran Thread of Continuity for longer strand debuff durations, Mind for class ability energy on suspend kills, Generation to keep our grenade up and ready, and Warding for free Woven Mail on orb pickups. Our exotic for this build is the Edge of Action. Yep, that weird exotic glaive that no one seems to use. This glaive allows us to plop down a bubble after a few hits, which grant us an overshield and a small bump of weapon damage, just like the little brother version of a Ward of Dawn. But why are we running this weird glaive? One simple and hilarious reason. Bubble the decoys. Plop a mini bubble down on the decoys and watch the enemies of humanity break their AI trying to deal with it. This essentially lengthens the lifespan of our sweeper bot friends practically tenfold. But the funny doesn't stop there. For our other special weapon, yes, we are using two special weapons, we are using the new Tusk of the Boar, the Waveframe grenade launcher from the Iron Banner, which in our case has Slice and Chain Reaction. Slice causes Sever to enemies after using our class ability, which synergizes with the Chain Reaction for a small green nuke of strand debuffs, made even more funny with our exotic armor, the Abiant Leap. Abiant improves our Dregnir's Lash while feeding us Woven Mail on suspend kills. I did not expect this weird combo to be nearly as effective as it was. It does severely run the risk of running out of ammo, but with Banner of War and our Glaive melee working with each other, we don't really need a primary weapon as much as normal. This build is far from fleshed out, but feel free to copy down all the armor mods I have here on screen, as you might find them useful. And like I said, this build was legitimately really fun to use, if not a bit odd. Thank you for watching, subscribe, bless your faces, and deuces.